And before I begin, I would just want to ask a very quick question to all of us. Raise your hand if you have attended university. 请大家举手，如果你上过大学的话。That is still quite a number. Yet, today in Shenzhen, only 52% of ninth graders can secure a place in public high school. But what about the other 48%? These are just statistics. They are people. They are young people with dreams, ambitions. They have so many potentials. But last week, I received a very sad news. My cousin didn't make it into high school. In Shenzhen, with these admission rates, it is not something uncommon. Yet, we rarely talk about it openly. In fact, my cousin took 3 months to gather the courage to tell me. Why? Because there is a deep sense of shame, especially when facing peers who have successfully went to college or high school, and the shame of having to work in a factory. Yes, today, Chinese manufacturing secondary industry might be known for its oppressive nature, long working hours, and low-quality working environment. But ultimately and undeniably, it is what drives our country to become the world's second largest economy. Yet you might be wondering why a high school student is talking about this. For me, I worked as an HR assistant in Foshan in the past 2 summer holidays. 我在前2年的暑假里面当了2个月的工厂的人事助理。And there I see a lot of people, a lot of young people who has potentials. Because I was a 9th grader, and I've watched too many of my peers become part of the silenced 48%, bright, capable young people who society quickly forgets. But I want to know their journey. I want to understand their story. I want to know what happened to them when traditional education closed a door for them, to see firsthand how other doors can be opened to them. In my generation, there is very, very common speaking that you fail your life when you fail your education. But do they simply fail their lives? People always say, if you don't study hard, you'll end up turning screws in a factory. 人们老是说，如果你不好好学习，你就会进厂打螺丝 in that casually dismissive way. Becoming a worker after high school in my time, my space is seen as the ultimate academic failure, or even more than that. It's a resignation to a bleak future. I might end up grazing cows in the future. 可能我不好好学习的话，我就会去大草原上放牛。But life doesn't always present us with ideal choices. Whatever. Just like today, I wanted a Coca-Cola to calm my nerves before this talk, but all I could get is just Pepsi. Of course, this is just a trivial example, but it illustrates a larger truth. When our preferred path isn't available, what can we do? In my family, attending university is a luxury. I'm one of the only 2 kids in my generation who had the opportunity. My cousins, like one who went to a technical school, he began working in a plastic processing factory as a blue-collar worker, operating CNC machines. 我的堂哥他没有在教育中成功，他进了工厂，成为了一名进行 CNC 切割的传统蓝领工人。Initially, I thought he'd be bored by such repetitive tasks because it's boring, it's repetitive, it's not ideal for a young man like him. But he told me that what he realized is that merely operating the CNC wasn't enough. He needed to know how to maintain it and program it. So for 3 months, he had been working full shift. In the morning, he attends programming lessons on Java and C in the morning, and he begins working in the afternoon. Because he missed the morning shift, he compensated by working late into the night, sometimes until 4 a.m. When asked what drove him, he said he wanted respect and to seize his own future. He didn't want to buy a house by asking his parents to borrow money from friends or relatives. Today, he works as a software engineer in a listed company in Shenzhen. I was amazed by the growth opportunity he found in the factory, a place I previously thought was very oppressive and very constraining. I wasn't even convinced by his success because, how could an individual case represent the entire labor? Until more and more people like him I see are emerging from the factories. During my time working in Foshan, I met Ying. She was only 17, young, vibrant, beautiful, and determined, and we quickly became friends. When we first met, she had just quit her job as a hair therapist. Over the next 2 years, she switched jobs 3 times. She worked in an electronic factory, saving for college tuition. But after facing harassment and threats from her supervisor, she was forced to leave for safety. Eventually, she found her way to a hair therapy shop in Shenzhen, becoming their youngest employee. Despite her fear of returning to Dongguan, Ying didn't let setbacks define her. In Shenzhen, she worked long and long hours at the shop while studying Chinese medicines at night. She goes to a vocational school online. After her shift, she would do homework. She would take online tests, and she would keep chasing her dream of becoming a medical therapist. Her resilience and determination inspired me, because ultimately she didn't attend a high school, not even a college. Instead, she chose a vocational school. But today, she earns around 15,000 RMB a month, and is just 8 months away from becoming and graduating with a medical certificate. Once, she told me, one should cultivate ambition in youth so that, in old age, they can reflect on their life with a sense of purpose. In the past, society did not discriminate those who were getting vocational training. You could see from the employment statistics back in 2002 that mostly people employed only got a junior high school degree. 你可以看到2002年的数据，大部分受雇的人，61.2%的人只有初中的学历。But what happened today? I recently read a book called Country Driving, A Journey Through China from Farm to Factory. In the book, the character who touched me the most is called Salon, a young factory chemist in Lishui, Zhejiang. Inside the book, he reads renowned novels like Square and Round and HBA, the Harvard MBA comprehensive volume of how to conduct yourself properly in the society. You might find it funny or even absurd when hearing this, because we all think that people of his background, his intellectual level, wouldn't grasp such complex ideas. But he does deeply resonate with their philosophies, drawing inspirations from figures like Confucius, Jesus, Rockefeller, or even Mao. Salon seeks to find the right path. I want to be persistent, he said in his book. I don't want things to frustrate me or make me angry. He wrote his slogans on the dormitory wall, and he made a point of never complaining about overwork. He said, people in the factory are griping too much. He wanted to be at peace with himself, and he wanted to get along with others. Now he becomes one of the most famous factory chemists. 20 years ago, factory work in China was about survival, feeding families, supporting siblings, and scraping together as much as possible. But today, the narrative is shifting. The post-1990 generation, like my cousin and Ying, show us new reality. These young workers are not just surviving. They're striving. They want more than just paycheck. They want growth, they want respect, and they want fulfillment. This 48% we often overlook are not just numbers or stories of struggle. They are dreamers, innovators, and relentless workers who refuse to let closed doors define them. They build skills, rise through ranks, and challenge societal biases that undervalue their potential. They deserve to be seen, they deserve to be respected, and they deserve to be celebrated for the courage they display every day. And that is the end of my speech. Thank you.